The relationship we explored between the physical world and the spiritual world could also be compared to the relationship of the spiritual world with the dream world. The question then would be, does anything that we do in the dream world affect what happens in the physical world? The opposite is not hard for us to be convinced of, that is, that the physical world affects our dream world. This is because we have so many examples whereby we had a bad day and it followed with bad dreams. Alternatively, is it an axiomatic truth that if we had bad dreams, we'll have a bad day? Then, if so, shouldn't every bad day be pre-warned by a bad dream? And then if it is not such a case, then why should we even bother? So it's an interesting idea. Of course, in the world of dreams, it's futile to explore the idea because even if there was a direct relationship, we don't have much control over the dreams. So even if there was a strong correlation, which was almost causational, then it will still be a vain attempt because we cannot influence the dreams. On the other hand, we can influence the spiritual world through our meditation. This is what this whole section is all about. However, you must understand that I explained to you the earlier six types of relationships exactly to come to this point of the effect of soul work in the spiritual world on the physical world. As we discussed earlier, it can have six different outcomes based on the model that is currently exhibiting itself at that particular time of meditation. For those of you who are familiar with quantum physics, you'll know that it's very difficult to predict when the photon will behave like a particle and when it will behave like a wave. Scientists have been baffled by it, and they've gone to the extent to say that the photon at the quantum level is playing tricks on them. Like when they are about to measure the photon as a wave, then it behaves like a particle, and when they are measure it as a particle, it behaves like a wave. Similarly, in meditation, we cannot accurately predict in which of the six ways that we discussed earlier the relationship between the two worlds will play out. So you might be doing something in your meditation that we will discuss later on in this chapter, and you might be thinking that it's not going to have any kind of reaction because you are planning it accordingly. However, that is not exactly in your choice, and somehow that particular the spiritual world you did causes an undeniable effect in the physical world, then you are again baffled. So the beauty about my teachings of unified meditation is that it's like practicing quantum physics at a very high octane level. In some later studies, some scientists have put up the theory of coherence to predict in which way the photon will behave, either as a wave or a particle. The result is mixed, but it's a progress. And even for quantum computing to work, we would have to find out a particular theory behind why the photon behaves as a wave at a certain time and why as a particle at another time. I'm bringing this comparison with quantum physics to encourage you to explore unified meditation and explore the effect that your soul work will have in the physical world. I have myself made some profound discoveries, which I'm going to share to you now. I realized that when the mind is involved in the spiritual world, that is, when there is selfishness, the desire for status, power, then somehow that particular activity in the spiritual world doesn't reflect in the physical world. But when what we do at the soul level is devoid of this format 2 kind of thinking and feeling, then there is an effect in the physical world. However, I found out that there are some other forces which are involved in the process of affecting the physical world due to our spiritual activities. What I'm trying to say that even though it is us who are practicing some spiritual stuff, there is some kind of governing body or referee or system that determines the extent of the reflection of our spiritual work in the physical world. The good news is that the actual effect or lack of effect in the physical world, even though at the beginning might not seem appropriate, turns out to be the best in the end. I know I might have sounded a bit cryptic, and I'll provide some more examples, but first let's explore the diagram on the right and below so that I can give examples which are more useful and you can relate to them better. So it is the same diagram that we discussed earlier, except that now you have a blue star which represents the stuff that we do during the meditation. By doing here, I mean both doing, being, and going in the spiritual world. We'll talk more about those in the later sections in this chapter, so do not be overly concerned that you don't fully comprehend what they mean. In the first kind of relationship, whatever we do in the spiritual world has no effect in the physical world because, as we discussed earlier, they are unrelated. For example, while we meditate, we might be imagining that we are flying to the end of the universe. Then at that point, we just move the star, or we might have imagined that we went into the past and change something that we didn't like. Alternatively, we might have become a monster and scared the wits out of somebody who gave us a lot of trouble on that particular day. Well, these kinds of spiritual activities are best not having any effect in the physical world. Don't you agree? Many fantasies can be played out when you are meditating. In fact, we can say that fantasy is some kind of meditation. However, not all meditations are fantasies. The next diagram shows that whatever we do in the spiritual world has a direct effect in the physical world. At this point, I need to introduce to you the old concept that we discussed earlier on called the 6 areas of living. When I mean the physical world, I am referring to those 6 areas. I'm not trying to imply that through our meditation practice, we should literally be able to perform the 8 siddhis, among which are becoming small like an atom and becoming large as much as the universe. You will recall we discussed that earlier on also. So what would be the point of having such capacity, even if it was possible? Now, here I am talking about the effect of our spiritual work on our 6 areas of living, which are career, relationships, money, pleasure, health, and liberation and enlightenment. So, in the second relationship, what is happening is that by visualizing yourself becoming a better person and attracting yellow light, white light, or emitting fragrance around you, then there is a direct effect first on your health. because you will feel healthier. How? Well, the soul has a connection with your emotions, and your emotions affect the chemistry and biology of your body, so the health will be affected. Besides that, such kind of meditation or visualization of lights and transmission of fragrance can also affect your career, relationships, and money matters positively. In this way, there is a very direct relationship. Whenever I feel down and hopeless, I usually resort to this particular relationship of the physical world and the spiritual world, and practice that technique along with other techniques. It works most of the time. As I told you, like quantum mechanics, the outcome can be quite elusive, but even psychologically, it gives you a boost by having willed and tried to make a positive impact from your meditation state into the six areas of living. In the third diagram, the meditation activity is done in such a way that it doesn't have any effect in the physical world. Why would we want to practice such a meditation? You can compare it to taking a picture and not wanting to upload it into your social media account. So, in this view, the two are highly interrelated, and the physical world is a subset of the spiritual world, and yet we have to choose not to affect the physical world and practice our meditation without any effect in the real world or even the six areas of living. And that would occur in the liberation and enlightenment area of living. That would make a lot of sense when we progress very far in the meditation practice, and if we had to have an effect in the physical world, then we would be trapped in our own golden cage of success and bounties. And that is not very desirable for advanced meditators. So they subscribe to this particular model of reality in the later meditation stages. The fourth one, which is the intersection as the main highlight, is midway between the earlier two kinds of realities. So, when we meditate, we could at times visualize peace in the world and actually do stuff there, like trying to convince people, at least in our imagination. And then that would impact the physical world. Alternatively, we could just detach ourselves from even our own bodies to be totally free, but not wanting to have any kind of effect in the physical world. Whereas in the first example, these people could help us in our careers, relationships, money matters, health, and that is a good thing. In the later on, we would feel liberated and enlightened, and yet nobody would know about it, and they would not be bothered by it, which is the best situation for you to continue practicing your meditation. So, this particular kind of reality is highly affected by the purity of your mind. You might wish to have it one way, but it might be occurring in the other way. It means you might want to affect the people who are going to help you get a promotion, but it would have no effect. And you might not want to make anyone know that you have progressed in your meditation, but people will start feeling that you have changed and they will start bothering you. And that's not really for you to decide. It's like quantum physics. The photon decides itself whether it's going to be a wave or a particle, no matter what you do. The same with the is true with the kind of relationship of the physical world and the spiritual world that will be embraced by that particular spiritual work you just did. Finally, the last two types of realities, which are the reflections, are going to be addressed. Many people have got an entire spiritual world in them. It's a very busy world. It doesn't have to be advanced meditators like me, they could be just children who are as young as 5 or below mostly. They live in imaginary worlds. So, whatever the meditators or the child do in that world, like the example I gave you of Alice in Wonderland, will not have an effect on the physical world. In the spiritual world, the meditator can be a god or a king or a demon. And then when he wakes up from his meditation, he will be back to who he is, the normal human being, unless otherwise, like unless he is the son of a king or the king himself. Sometimes some children and meditators and even those who consume drugs that take them to that spiritual world are not able to realize that the spiritual world is a reflection of the physical world and not the other way around. And then they think or they believe that what they experience in the spiritual world is to be corroborated in the physical world. Then they behave like kings and gods and expect others to believe their new position. It is then that they are given the names of lunatics. Then, in the last model of reality, the practitioner is highly advanced and he has his own spiritual world and does his own stuff in the spiritual world. Myself, I have my own meetings with the various entities. It's not a traditional meeting like we just talk and discuss. The feelings are shared instead, and a lot of energies are swapped. Things are done. There is silence. There is expansion. There is contractions, and the activities change over time. And when this particular model reality is used, again, not specifically by me, but by the ascended masters, I guess, or some systems, the physical world is affected. Before that particular period of meditation, people didn't feel a trust in me. But after that series of meditation, I felt that people trusted me inside of my meditation. Then, after my meditation and going back into the real world, people trusted me like they trusted me in my meditation. Mind you, nothing has changed in my physical reality, meaning I did not add a degree, I did not add a single day of more working experience, I did not add more networking. Suddenly, without any material reason, people became attracted to me and they gave me opportunities. In this way, my career progressed, and with further meditation and where in my spiritual worlds I used to attract some kind of colors, senses, feelings. I realized that in the physical world there were some kind of people who began to be attracted to me and others who began to be repulsed by me. My mind, of course, was stubborn, and I was sad that the people I wanted were repulsed by me, but the people I didn't really want were attracted by me. But again, this is the shallowness of the mind. Later on, I realized that this was a big conspiracy by the universe, something that I was not even aware at the conscious level. And then fast forward 40, 30 years, and here I am, the author, writing this book. So for me, the spiritual world causes reflection and the physical world. I have never doubted it. That doesn't occur all the time, as I told you. It's like quantum physics, it's random. Or we think it's random because we don't exactly know who's pulling the strings. To end this section, I would like to match various kinds of meditation techniques that we are aware of with the various realities that I've listed. It's not an accurate match and it's not really needed, but I just thought you'd have fun doing it and it will help you remember this particular section. So again, take a look at the diagram. The first one, where the physical world and the spiritual world are unrelated, is something that the hard sciences will most abide to. As I discussed earlier, the scientists do not deny that there is some kind of spiritual world. They all agree that they cannot explain it. However, they want it to be unrelated. And like in quantum physics, this is also true. Now, the second one, whereby the spiritual world is a subset of the physical world, is where the black magic occurs. Every occultist and black magician or shamans believe that this is how the world works. They wish they could cast a spell on the enemies and the enemy would fall. To what extent is this true? Not much test has been done for obvious reason that we can't imagine any reputed university getting approval to give funds for such a research. But one writer on paranormal activity did that. He asked a shaman in the jungles of Brazil to cast a spell on him at a particular time and date. Then he wanted to measure whether there would be an effect, that is a negative one, on him. What was the outcome? As per the writer, there was no real outcome except the opposite of placebo, which was the nocebo effect. He realized that because he believed that there would be a negative effect, there was some kind of negative effect, but he did not relate that to any other external forces, which could have been because of a shaman's work, and instead he attributed that to his own nocebo or his own self-prophecy. So that's a very interesting study done by this writer. The next one, where there is no effect because the physical world is a subset of the spiritual world, is where most of the traditional meditation are placed. We meditate because we just need to meditate, and it's a ritual, like going to church, going to a temple. You meditate. It's just a good habit to develop. It would have an effect on the type of people that surround you, but not a direct effect on the physical world as such. It would be just like another activity that we do, like going to school or work. We go to meditation. Now, the fourth kind of reality, where there is intersection between the physical world and the spiritual world, is where prayers work. So sometimes prayers work and sometimes they don't. So it's the in between pure black magic and traditional meditation. In the reality where the spiritual world is a reflection of the physical world, astral travel can be set as an example. There, you lie down and go into a deep theta state whereby your mind is calm, and then by the sheer power of suggestion, you suggest your soul to get out of your body outside. And where is that outside? It's a spiritual world, it's just a reflection of the physical world, which is exactly what it is. But whatever we do in that astral world or spiritual world while we are traveling astrally would have no effect in the physical world. The objective would be to fulfill our fantasies and to find a piece of our mind and manage our emotions. Finally, the reality where the physical world is a reflection of the spiritual world is the basis of unified meditation. At the beginning, it's very simple soul work, but later on, as a meditator, we can build organizations, many worlds within your spiritual world, and you can even automate everything. You can create universes inside. You can alter the current universe. There will be limits while you are doing it set by the physical world, and all that will have an effect in the physical world and the 6 areas of living that I listed earlier for your own life. So it's very interesting.